I am very happy to welcome you all. Namaskar. I am very happy to welcome you all in the IIF webinar series. This is one of the seminars which we are going to hold. It is going to be held again as there has been a tremendous demand. Given the cybersecurity threats, we have kept the limitation of number of participants in this particular meeting, and hence we have sent the invites accordingly. We are going to hold about 3 or 4 sessions or maybe more depending on the availability of the time of Professor Vohra, and accordingly we will host the meeting again later on. Let me just brief you. We have been taking care of all the requirements which have been mentioned by the Ministry of Home Affairs to keep webinars safe and sound for everybody, given the fact that there have been bombings in webinars, including Zoom bombing, which has taken place in various forums. So given that, we have tried to keep everything under control, and I hope we don't have similar incidences. And in any case, we are only having people who are registered participants here. We may have someone who may bypass the rule, and for that specific purpose, we have kept the audios and videos to be muted. There is a cyber guy who is keeping a tab on anyone who is trying to unmute himself or put the video unmuted. We will automatically have no option but to remove him from the room, and he will not be able to get in. So it is requested to every participant to kindly keep their videos off and audios off. We will have a question answer session. We have this session from 4 to 6. All those participants who are going to have registered and wanted participation certificates, they will be issued participation certificates within a span of 2 to 3 days once the seminar is done. And it will be issued to people who have stayed here till the end of the conference. So please note that this is expected to be about 2 hours presentation, about an hour by Professor Vohra, and given that he has had always a very important points and very important discussion, we have seen the fact that there are a large number of questions and answers, and as a result, we have kept about an hour for that as well. So I will be passing on the mic to Professor Vohra in another minute or so, and he will be on the spotlight. But just to brief, you have already read about him in the notification. We are talking about today the India's power of confidence to tackle Chinese coronavirus. My dear friends, I was working with the World Bank way back in 2000, 2001, and in Washington, D.C. I left the World Bank job and came back to serve my country, India, way back 2001, 2002, and I have been serving here since then. I am very happy and very proud of the fact that India has been doing tremendously well, and I am very happy to welcome, because Professor Vohra is not only the fact that he is an honorary professor with us, but he is my mentor. I always look upon him and he guides me. A person with a lot of humility, a lot of human touch, and has always been apt in terms of putting things right. He doesn't fear anyone. He has been not only ambassador of India to a large number of countries. He has served the army, Indian Army as well for a short while. He has been the former ambassador of India to Armenia, to Georgia, to South Sudan, to Poland, and Lithuania. And it is not only this, he has been a TV personality. He has been coming on television. Large number of people for ages have known him and have cherished his face. That includes my mother as well, who has cherished his presence, despite the fact that they studied together in Delhi School of Economics, along with my father, who was in Delhi School of Economics long back. Professor Vohra has been advising large number of governments, including Government of India within the country. He is also formally on the advisory board as a special advisor to the Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council, Leh and Kargil. He is also the special advisor, not only in India but outside, to the Prime Minister of Lesotho, which is in Africa, and Prime Minister of Guinea-Bissau in Africa again. He is also advisor to the government of South Sudan, and he has brought them out of problems multiple times in the last decade or more. At least for last decade or so, I have been hearing about the kind of problems they have been facing, and they treat him like God, as a messenger of God. In fact, he will give his quote on what they say, but I thought I should share with you this brief introduction, and we are now going to hand over the mic to him, and so that he can begin his presentation the way he likes, and I'm going to pass on the mic in a second. As I said again, there will be question answers at the end. I will open the floor for everybody. I will bring people up and their audios and videos would be turned on. But for the whole meeting, please keep your videos and audio off. Otherwise, the administration who is taking care of the cybersecurity here would throw you off the room. Thank you very much. And I pass it my thing to Professor Vohra now.
Thank you very much. Professor Aman, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Professor Aman, thank you for that very gracious introduction. It's a privilege to be associated with the world-famous Indian Institute of Finance. All the nice things you said well, but thank you for not mentioning, which is also in my official biodata, that many years ago, I tried to act in Bollywood films and flopped miserably. Thank you for not mentioning that. Friends, we're going to spend the next 25 minutes or so in a PowerPoint presentation. I hope you can see it on your screens, where we will be taking a look at, or answering some of the basic questions that are puzzling many people around the world. Why has India been able to deal with the Chinese virus better possibly than any other middle income or low income or rich country? Why? So we'll try and answer that question. We'll begin with the slideshow. Occasionally, I may look away from the camera, I may look down, and I'll also wear my glasses. I'm getting old, so that I'm able to see my notes. Here we go then. Shall we start, Professor Aman?
Please go ahead, sir. As I said, let me just repeat the topic. India's power of confidence to tackle Chinese coronavirus. Professor Deepak Vohra.
Thank you. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. The future is now. Now, the world beyond 2020. Sab log ye yaad rakhenge, and I'll switch between English and Hindi. How come we are dealing with this better? Because as Prime Minister said, it's now a people-driven battle. Do you know the initial deaths? In fact, to date, the most deaths are people who are old, white, and rich. Those who die from the Chinese virus. Half of the world has gone to the IMF, the World Bank, and to their donors asking for bailouts. We haven't. Over 60 countries have sought medicines from us, have sought advice from us, have sought relief. And by the way, we have the lowest morbidity rate of a country our size. Here it is. Take a look. The world average per million population is 30. US is 155. Belgium, 568. Italy, 425. China, please don't trust their figures. They claim it's 4, but it's probably not true. India is 0.6. How come? Okay, not enough testing, etc. I'm talking of deaths, not about testing. Our world today is, really, I call myself an observe analyst, much better and stronger than it has been ever before. For example, 90% of the world has electricity, 90% of the world's children have been vaccinated. 1/3 of all kids born after 2011 will reach their 100th birthday, and less than 10% of people live in extreme poverty. I'm sorry, the slideshow has gone off, but we are back again. Less than 10% live in extreme poverty. Sorry for the spelling mistake. Yet, when the Chinese virus attacks, the strongest militaries, the strongest economies, they flounder. Let me take you back 30 years ago. In a Chinese virus type of situation, we would have been begging for help. Now, the world looks on us with admiration and appreciation. What does the US president say? We will not forget India's help. The world appreciates the power of our example. What are we doing? And how are we doing it? This is the power of India's confidence. You don't need to be a weatherman to understand the direction of the wind. Look, I'm an observe analyst. Let me give you a little bit about when I was born in 1951. Yes, next year I'll turn 70. When I was born, 98% of Indians had never been to school. 99% lived in abject poverty. Women's empowerment, happy birthday. Less than 1% of women were employed in the organized sector. They were suppressed everywhere. And then we had this fatalism and, lack of self-confidence. Whenever we had a crisis, and I remember 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, we would rush to others for help. But by the time I die, we would have eliminated extreme poverty. We would have eliminated illiteracy. We would have moved ahead on gender equality, and we would have become much more self-confident, for I see the change. Sons and daughters of India, my message to you, please do not be excessively pessimistic, because that pessimism does not empower you. It paralyzes you. It makes you feel hopeless and helpless. Now, एक आपको कुछ मैं cartoons दिखाना चाहता हूँ from various magazines. This is The Economist many years ago. Shows the then British Prime Minister David Cameron bowing before the then Indian Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh and Mrs. Gandhi sitting together like king and queen. The British Prime Minister saying, please give my country some money. We have no money. Here's another one. Invest in Bavaria. Bavaria is in Germany, not in India. Why are they advertising in an Indian magazine? So many of these leaders from Sweden, I've personally heard them, from Switzerland, from Germany, from Canada. Big people, governors, ministers have come asking for investment from India. The world is turning on its head. Here is an advertisement in India Today, April 2015, advertising a property in London. India Today is not published there, but they know that we had the power to purchase, to acquire property over there. Now, where does this confidence come from? And this confidence comes from 4 areas: demography, economics, education, and defense. But first, take a look at this book written by my colleague in the American Foreign Service, Alice Iris, published 2 years ago, says our time has come, how India is making its place in the world. The 4 things that are helping us enormously today: demography, economics, education, defense. Demography first. Are you aware that the median age in India is 28, which means 65 crores, 650 million Indians are less than 28 like you and I. And 65 million like Professor Aman are more than 650 million are more than 28 years. That's the demographic dividend. We already are the youngest country in the world. The median age for Western Europe is 44. The Pope called Europe an elderly and haggard continent. I didn't say it. He did. We have 100 crore people in the productive age group, the productive age group being between the ages of 15 and 64. But when you're less than 15, you consume more than you produce. When you are more than 64, you consume more than you produce. But the productive age group, I have 1 billion people in that. That is the first thing that is enabling us, giving us the confidence that we can deal with anything because of this huge cohort of people I can count on to work. The second thing that gives us this new power and self-confidence is the fact that we are the 3rd largest economy in the world. You know, we accept no international aid, and I'll tell you all about this. The 4 largest economies, China, in terms of PPP, purchasing power parity, USA, India, which is 12 trillion, trillion has 12 zeros, $12 trillion, followed by Japan, which is less than $6 trillion. This was before the Chinese virus, but then we are not contracting. Nobody has said that we are going into recession. We may grow at 1% or 2% or 3% or whatever. We're not going into recession. 3 out of the 4 top economies are in Asia. The third thing that gives us this confidence is our relentless focus on education. 1950, we had 500 schools and colleges. Now I have 50,000 colleges and universities, and I have 1.5 million schools. Do you know we have 340 million students and 52% are our daughters? Thank you. Thank you for telling me about women's empowerment. When these girls who are in schools and colleges join the workforce, imagine what we will be doing in terms of gender equality. The last thing is military rebalancing. The most powerful military in the world, naturally, the United States, followed by Russia, followed by China, followed by India. These mega trends, they haven't come with the virus. These are trends we've been observing for the last 20 years. These mega trends give us the power of confidence, how we are able to deal with the virus. Talking of the economy, have you any idea कि हमारे पास निजी धन कितना है, private money भारत में कितना है? According to the New World Wealth Report, this year in 2020, India's private wealth is $8.2 trillion. Professor Aman, how much of that do you have?
Not even 0.0001%.
$8.2 trillion. A trillion has 6 zeros. The 6th as 12 zeros. This is the 6th largest in the world. And the same report said,
bank, maybe I could have small proportion.
and the The same report, Professor Aman says that in 8 years, by 2028, the average Indian will have twice as much personal wealth as the average Briton or the average German, which is quite amazing. I haven't said these. These are figures coming from international organizations. Now we see India's rising global profile. Let me talk to you a little bit about this. 2015, you're all aware that there is an International Day of Yoga following a resolution that India introduced in the United Nations General Assembly. 193 members, 177 co-sponsored that resolution. 177 out of 193, the largest in the history of the United Nations. मैं UN General Assembly में speeches सुन रहा था. One of the European ambassadors says while they were debating this, my country supports yoga because India is the spiritual mother of all mankind. देखो क्या ये लोग बोलते हैं about India's power. जुलाई 2015 में यमन में civil war लगी थी. याद है आपको? भूल जाते हैं हम लोग. India's civil war, Yemen, there was a civil war. The Yemenis people said we have nationals of 40 countries stuck in Yemen, but the only nation whose military can come to take them out is India. Not France, not Germany, not USA, not Russia, not China. Only India. We brought these people out. I'll tell you a little anecdote. After we had brought them out, I had gone to France. I've studied at the Sorbonne in Paris. I'd gone there in November of 2015 for the International Solar Alliance meeting. And the French immigration officer sees my passport. He says, Ambassador of India? I said, yes. He said, sir, you brought 300 people out of Yemen. I said, friend, if we made a mistake, we'll take them back. I was joking with him in French. Then he smiles at me, salutes, and says, thank you, India. Look at the respect that these people have for India. 2019, ladies and gentlemen, sons and daughters of India, we were invited to the founding conference of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation in Morocco, Rabat. We were invited in 1969. When we got there, they said, sorry, you are uninvited, go home. There was nothing we could do. We came back. We didn't have the strength. And on the 50th anniversary of the founding of the OIC last year in the Emirates, who is the guest of honor? Your country, my country, India. 2020, the Chinese virus. China has given you an example of its power to disrupt the world. India is showing the power of its example to heal the world. You know, we had this big thing, the big earthquake in Nepal in 2015. Our relief effort was mobilized within 15 minutes. And the Prime Minister of Nepal said, my country is blessed to have a neighbor like India. What is the result of these changes? You know, the 15% of the world's population, all the rich countries where the people are supposed to be white in color, particularly from Europe, 15% that ruled over the other 85% for 200 years. They refuse to accept these tectonic changes taking place. The world is turning on its head, but they see it, they understand it, they realize it, but they do not accept it. So they fantasize that nothing is changing. And what happens? Disruption, depression, loneliness grows in the old world. Whereas Aapka Desh, Mera Desh, Bharat. Look at the energy and self-confidence that we have. By the way, the United Kingdom even has a minister for loneliness. They might soon have one for sanity. Who knows where they are headed. We handle this ourselves. Do you know that since the tsunami of 2004 in India, we do not accept international assistance from anybody. Let me tell you, I was posted in Paris in the mid-70s. We had this massive earthquake in Koina. And in the embassy, we were all very busy facilitating the visit of something called Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières. They came and we had to make arrangements for them to get into Delhi, then from Delhi to take a special flight, etc. During the tsunami of 2004, take it from me, I was ambassador in Armenia. Some international NGO said, we would like to go and help. We said, very good, go ahead, we'll give you visas. They said, you have to get us received in Delhi and then transported to the place and arrangements for us. We said, happy birthday, you'll stay on the beach. And if the waves come and wash you away, we'll hand over your bodies if they are recovered to your families. How many people actually came to help us during the tsunami? Shunya, zero. Not one, we didn't want them. That's India's journey to the beginning of its self-confidence. When I don't want help from anybody, I do it myself. That gives me the confidence that I have the ability to do it. There was massive destruction. We didn't take it. We didn't seek any help. Look, over 100 countries have gone to the IMF, to the World Bank, over 100, asking for bailouts. Hum nahi gaye hain. We haven't gone there, nor do we intend to. And I pause for a moment to talk about our humiliation. But I don't know how old you are. I'm 69, but I distinctly remember the war we fought with Pakistan in 1965. 1966, the rains didn't come. 65, the rains hadn't come. So 66 and 67, we made the largest imports of food in the history of mankind. 9 and 11 million tons. Bhook kya hoti hai na, mujhse pucho. All of 1966, Mondays, we were asked not to eat cereals on Mondays. I have slept hungry for 1 year on Mondays. Not that my father couldn't afford it, but he was a loyal Indian. He said, "Nahi beta, this is an emergency, you will not eat." And I slept hungry. When Mrs. Gandhi went to seek American assistance, food aid, and American newspapers wrote, "India's leader comes begging." You don't humiliate the leader of India like that. The second time that I have seen in my lifetime are near humiliation. 1991, we had foreign exchange just enough to cover 2 weeks of imports, less than $1 billion. We asked several countries to give us a loan. They said, "We don't trust your economy, we don't trust you." So we had to mortgage our gold to England and Switzerland in order to get a $600 million loan to tide us over the crisis. And I remember I then used to work with Mr. Pedroda, who was special advisor to the Prime Minister. I was his OSD, officer on special duty. I remember sobbing on his shoulder, saying, "Sam, is this the nation I'm working for?" He put his arm around me and he said, "Deepak, this too will pass." My dear sons and daughters of India, this country that spread its hands like this and said, "Mujhe anaj do," is today the second largest producer of food in the world, and which did not have foreign exchange. We are sitting on over $600 billion today. Never, never, never again. Beta, for too long, Professor Aman, have others written our destiny. Because a country that forgets its past has no future. We remember कि हमें अपना भविष्य निर्णय करने का, तय करने का मौका नहीं दिया. Someone else was determining what the future would hold for me. We made mistakes. They came to trade, they stayed to rule, but never, never again. Now we make a commitment to ourselves. All of you who are watching this webinar, if you're there, make this commitment to yourselves कि अब हम खुद भविष्य लिखेंगे भारत का, ताकि दूसरा कोई ना लिख सके. मैं कान को हाथ लगाता हूं, भगवान से कहता हूं, मुझे माफ कर for daring to suggest that we will write our destiny ourselves. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we will do it. Nobody will determine what the future holds for India. We will determine it ourselves. Look, this is our future as they see it. You've heard of this company called Deloitte. They carry out every year a survey of millennial attitudes. They did one last year. Is saal ka baad mein aayega. They asked 16,000 or 16,500 kids from 42 countries. They said, "Are you optimistic about the future?" This is kids who are millennials born after 1985 and Gen Next or Gen Z born after 1995. So 85, 95 के बाद जिनका जन्म हुआ, उनसे पूछा, "Are you optimistic about the future?" 42 countries. Right at the bottom, Sweden, Norway, Finland, Germany, France, England, America, Japan, etc. No confidence. Right on top, our country, India. And then they were asked, these kids, "What is your top priority? A good house, a good job, a lovely wife, a big car?" They said, "None of the above. Our top priority is to give back to society." अरे जिन बच्चों की ये सोच है ना, उसके सामने कौन टिक सकता है? उस देश को कौन रोक सकता है? उसका जन्म नहीं हुआ अभी. गोल्डमैन सैक्स क्या कहता है? मैंने नहीं कहा, ये गोल्डमैन सैक्स ने कहा, ना मैंने उसको पैसे दिए थे कहने के लिए. India's story will be shaped by its 40 crore Gen Next born after 1995. They have the power, the financial power, India's sustained growth, improved education they have. This will be one of the most compelling stories for the next 20 years. Barack Obama, American president, 3 बार क्यों आता है भारत? He wants to see the revolution taking place, goes back and tells American kids, "You better watch out. There are billions in Bangalore working to out-educate and out-compete you." This is the Indian spirit. What can I say to you? Young Indian, 1995 Kargil War, true story. I was there, came to register for the army from a village in Bihar, wanted to join the Indian army. When he went to the recruitment camp, the people told him, "Beta, आप कैसे join करोगे? आप तो दोनों टांगें कटी हुई हैं घुटने के नीचे in a train accident." This kid, 19, 20, 21, whatever his age, pulls himself up on his crutches and said, Sahab, मैं दुश्मन से लड़ने आया हूं, दुश्मन से भागने नहीं. Look at the spirit of India. Here, take a look at this picture. This is the Sikkim earthquake of September 2011. I took this picture myself. When an earthquake happens, the mountain breaks, carries the road away with it. It's called a landslide. There were 300 landslides that broke the road from Gangtok, the capital of Sikkim, to Siliguri in West Bengal. That's the highway. That's the lifeline of Sikkim. 300 landslides. This kid was, as you see, he's drilling, then he'll put dynamite, he'll blow it, the mountain will recede, and he's built the road. Because I was there with my Doordarshan team. I was waiting and looking at this boy doing what he is, very precariously perched, but he was doing his job. We asked international companies, how long will it take to open the road, remove these 300 roadblocks where the road is broken owing to landslides. The best company in Austria said 6 weeks. Prime Minister decided we can't wait for 6 weeks. We have to send food to our people in Sikkim. So we asked the Indian border roads. I was there, my dear sons and daughters of India. Maine ye suna hai. The Director General of Border Road said, let me do a survey, we'll come back to you. 20 hours later, he calls. You know what he says? The road is open. Kahan 6 hafte ki baat karte hain? 20 ghante mein. Then we lost a lot of our kids like this because they were doing everything that they had to. I went to a Sikkimese home. I met a mother whose child had died in the border roads while serving India. So I went to her, I said, Behan, army se, border roads se, Sikkim government se, Bharat Sarkar se, aapko bahut compensation milegi. I'm sorry that you've lost your 26-year-old child. I gave her a check, a personal check for my own satisfaction. Doordarshan se jo hame paise mile, we gave it to her. And I said, Behan, sister, is there anything I can do for you? She said, sir, your special advisor, get my youngest son a job. He's just out of university. I said, I certainly will. I will go and talk to many of my friends who have big companies. I'll talk to maybe Professor Aman Agarwal, see if I can get him a job. She said, maine aapse ye nahi kaha to get him a job in a company. Get him a job in border roads. My elder son died for India. If the need comes, let my second boy also die for India. Look at the spirit of this mother. Are kaun tikega aisi maa ke samne? As the water rushed into my eyes, I held her hands and I said, Ma, tujhe salam. If I'm ever born again, I would like to be born through the womb of a mother like you. And at that moment, I understood why we are Indians. We are not Indians because we live in India, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. We are Indians because India lives in us. For the first time in human history, this is happening. 1/4 of your population is in school and college. Enthusiastic, tech-savvy, gungo. 2/3 are in the productive age group. Fastest elimination of poverty in human history ever. 1 Indian per second. Not my figures, UN figures. And from fatalism and self-doubt, within 1 generation, your generation, the post-millennial millennials and Gen Z, you exude self-confidence and determination. Of course, we can do it. There is no way. We built 1 toilet every 2 seconds. Never happened before in human history. We opened 2 bank accounts every second. We are still building 1 kilometer of highway every 15 minutes. You know, in September 2019, 8 months ago, at the Eastern Economic Development Forum, your poor, starving country, India, in the Western perception, when the Russian president mentioned about the damage sanctions were doing to his economy, your prime minister gets up and offers $1 billion soft loan to Russia. Happy birthday. India has come of age. The law of unintended consequences, I think, Professor Aman, you know what this is, that purposive action can have certain consequences. Ek to hum kuch karna chahte hain, but then it could have certain unintended consequences which are beneficial, detrimental, or perverse. For example, mere ko koi tang karta, main usko jhapad marta, I go and slap the fellow. Now the purposive action, the idea is that he gets a message. Beneficial, he probably won't trouble me again unless he's 5 times my size. Detrimental, that word goes around that Deepak Vohra is a terrible fellow. He goes around beating up people. It could have perverse reaction. Let me give you 2 examples of a perverse reaction to an action. I'm told, in about 1910, 1920, there were a lot of cobras in the nation's capital in Delhi. So the British government came out with a scheme that anybody who brought a dead cobra would be given 10 rupees. Now 10 rupees at that time was a lot of money. So what happened? People would start bringing in cobras and claim 10 rupees. But then they realized this was easy money. So people started breeding cobras in their homes and taking them, killing them and saying, 10 rupees do. British government got wise and said, no more, we're not going to have this scheme anymore. So what did we do with the cobras we bred? We released them into the streets. And the problem came back to where it was. I've seen the same thing in South Sudan. In my time as ambassador, there's a racket in New York. It's called the United Nations. They said, okay, we want all you guys to surrender your weapons and you're going to be given $100 or whatever for every weapon. So a whole cottage industry sprung up because South Sudan, owing to the 44-year civil war, there were lots of small arms, pistols and machine guns and rifles floating around. So cottage industry came up. People started forging crude weapons for $10, going and depositing them and collecting $100. A whole cottage industry sprung up. They didn't give their actual weapons. This was a perverse consequence of what was happening. Now, for India, what would have happened in a lockdown? Think about it. If we did not have toilets in or near every home. If you had to go out to the fields, would the lockdown have worked, Professor Raman? If you had to go every morning? But now every Indian home has access to a toilet or there is a toilet in the home. If we were a nation of superstitious old people, oh, no dear, we would have said, "Ye to Bhagwan ne humko saza diya," etc., etc. If we were not food self-sufficient, food and medicines, you know, food riots have started in Africa already. It's going to increase. As the virus takes a toll, as farmers are not able to produce, you're going to see these riots grow, and they probably will grow in Asia too, in countries that are food insecure, like Pakistan, like Nepal, like Afghanistan. What if we didn't have Ayushman Bharat, the world's largest insurance scheme, medical insurance scheme? Or if every poor household did not have a bank account? Rajiv Gandhi famously said that 15 paise out of every rupee that we want to give to the poor, वो उन तक पहुंचता है. 85 पैसे middlemen खा जाते हैं. अब हमने बैंक अकाउंट खोल दिए, डायरेक्ट ट्रांसफर. जब हमने ये बैंक अकाउंट खोले थे, जब हमने स्वच्छ भारत किया था, did we know that the Chinese virus is coming? No, we just did it because we felt it had to be done. What if we did not have enough mobile connectivity? There's a lot of things that you should think about, the law of unintended consequences. Take a look at this. Post the Chinese virus, the world will revert, go back to its bure aate, but some things will change. Look, tourism is down, but it will revive. No question. I mean, we are having a webinar, but you know, we are all social animals. I have 2 granddaughters. I love to hug them, hold them. I'd like to be physically close to them. So this is great, but tourism and travel will revive. Engineered intelligence, artificial intelligence will go up and up. Globalization, thank you. You can sing the death knell of globalization. Nationalism will rise. International trade, no, no, no. Going to go down, and what's going to go up is health, is immunity boosters, is yoga, and now Ayurveda. Because people are looking at India's traditional system of medicine if it has an answer. Existing supply chains will be disrupted. Every country will look at minimum self-reliability. I'm special advisor to 3 nations in Africa. Everybody is asking us, please tell us how to be self-reliant in agriculture, because we can do without oil, without bijli, without clothes, without alcohol. We can't do without food. Meat industry is going to decline. United States has a huge meat industry. 1 out of 5 or 6 Americans is now practically vegan, not vegetarian, but even more extreme vegan, no dairy products either. So horticulture will rise, oil and gas out, clean energy up. Blind faith. And I'm sorry to say this, if there are any Muslims listening, please forgive me. What a beautiful religion. But at the moment, the doubt is rising. And for all those who are Muslims watching Ramadan Kareem, but there is a great deal of doubt about rituals and blind faith and so on. Science will go up. The World Health Organization, United Nations, well, I believe they should be given a burial. There are 2 organizations, the UN and its system. They have long outlived their expiry date. Smaller regional groupings will come. Office real estate, no, no. Work from home, yes, yes. One thing that I might tell you also, the emotional and economic backlash against China will persist. The diplomatic, economic, and military megatrends that we are seeing, they will continue. The developed nations will seek to rebuild their economies, for which they will need labor. This is my analysis, my assessment. Labor from China, happy birthday. No, thank you. Who else can give them qualified, hardworking young people? You can. India can. International trade will revive, but very, very slowly. And there'll be, of course, injection of liquidity into the system, gold prices going up, all that you've read about. When Professor Aman, you mentioned that your parents and I were together at Delhi School of Economics. Sure, when I learned economics, I was told the three factors of production are land, labor, and capital. Later, they added entrepreneurship and technology. Now we've added perhaps the most important one, which is confidence. Geopolitics was already changing even before the virus. India showed the resoluteness of, it showed its strength. I mean, it's the softness of silk and the strength of steel. Jo humne Balakot mein kiya tha na, that was India's strength of steel. Malaysia tried to give us a lesson on Kashmir, but they learned a very bad lesson when we stopped our palm oil imports. Their futures palm oil crashed by 90% overnight. Their prime minister, a senior elderly gentleman, has lost his job. And now nobody can play the China card against us. So what is the softness of silk that we have shown? 60 देश आपसे दवाई मांगते हैं, advice मांगते हैं, we give it. And when our pilots fly over even Pakistan, the ATC there says, we are proud of you guys. Let's look at the appreciation the world is giving to us. As an Indian, beta, have faith and confidence in yourself. I'll conclude in a minute. Do not allow cynicism to affect you. डरते हो ना किसी चीज से, तो मत करो. पर अगर करते हो, तो मत डरो. If you want to start a new industry, go without fear. क्योंकि जैसे वो फिल्मों में कहते हैं, डर के आगे जीत है. किसी ने उस महात्मा से पूछा था कि मैं दुनिया को कैसे बदलूं. क्या कहा था उस महात्मा ने? अपने आप से शुरू करो. लिसोथो के प्रधानमंत्री, जिनका मैं विशेष सलाहकार हूं, एक बार उन्होंने मुझसे कहा, Ambassador, how do I deal with this problem? I said, sir, I have no idea. It's not my expertise. He said, no, tell me. कहा यार ये तो मेरे पीछे पड़ गया. He's also 86. So anyway, I told him, sir, if I were in your place, I would do this. 3 months later, I went back to Maseru. It's a story he narrates with great relish. He said to me, he said, Ambassador Deepak, I did what you told me to for this problem and it got solved. So I was very pleased. I said, good Lord, thank you very much for saving my honor. And then he turns around and he says, Ambassador Deepak, are you God? I said, no, sir, I'm an Indian. That's the next best thing. India is doing what is right, beta. The right thing is never determined or defined by your formal agreements or your legal contracts or whatever. Right is defined by our own high values, by our culture of fairness and trust. I want to conclude. I want to thank you. And I really, if you can hear the music on this slide, please listen to this. It's coming up. India's eternal wisdom. असम ने जो पारी वेदी गड़िया लागू जैसा उधार शारी जानो वासुदेव कुटुंब. जो कहते हैं ना ये तेरा है ये मेरा है, ये बड़ा छोटा दिमाग है उनका. भारत के ऋषि मुनि, भारतवासी कहता है पूरी दुनिया मेरा कुटुंब है, वासुदेव कुटुंब का. अरे अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है. अरे अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई. India's renaissance is underway and you heard this music. Abhi to party shuru hui hai. Thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry, Professor Raman, if I've gone on a little longer than I intended. The last slide I want to share with you, it's already been built. It will be my memorial, my tombstone, my epitaph. It will say Deepak Vohra, Indian from 1951, the year I was born, to eternity. और उसके नीचे मेरे अपने हाथों में जो एक चीज मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ वो लिखा हुआ है, scattered in the dust, silent I remain. When India's bugle calls, I will rise again. I will come back to serve India. Thank you so much for this opportunity to
thank you for addressing. I have a few questions before I open the house to everybody.
Is there a lump in your throat or not?
Sorry?
Is there a lump in your throat?
There's no lump there. I'm very excited now.
That's what I'm saying. You should be choking also if you listen to this. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and ask the questions. Yes,
as I was saying that I have some questions before I put it on to the audience.
Yes.
Straightforward. And if you allow me, I'll put off the slideshow now.
Please.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
As well.
I can see you.
Yes, perfect. Perfect. So again, namaskar, and I'm very happy to see you. They have wanted to listen to you. Maybe they would like to see and get more of your views. I had a few questions. I think you are the right person to respond to these questions. One of the questions is that, you know, given the fact I have seen in the last 20 years, there's a lot of debate on the fact that people want to compare India with China. As began way back in 2005, including the Diplomat.
Your voice is cracking.
Okay.
You're basically talking about a comparison between India and China, correct?
We are two different economies together, and we have more strength what they have.
Okay, let me tell you this, Aman, it's very difficult to compare apples and oranges. Our system is different, theirs is different. They moved at breakneck speed. They thought they will rule the world. But then, there is this thing in one of Shakespeare's plays, I think in Macbeth, that whom the gods would destroy, they first make mad. I think China has got its comeuppance. Their dreams of world domination have been substantially delayed, if not shattered. There is a tremendous emotional and economic backlash against China. And now they will realize that you can, the old thing, you can fool some of the people all the time, all the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. It's not going to happen. And then all these things they are coming out with, we did this, we did that. Again from Shakespeare, if I may quote from Hamlet, the lady doth protest too much, methinks. इसका मतलब है, who's asked you to give this सफाई? अपने आप ही तुम सफाई दे जो मैंने आरोप कहाँ लगाया आपके ऊपर? So on their own, they're coming saying, oh, we built it, we handled it so brilliantly, we did this. Who's asked you? Who said you didn't do it well? So this thing is a very powerful phrase which I learned in college, that the lady doth protest too much, methinks. It's a play within a play in Hamlet. Go ahead.
True. Now, the other thing which I also saw is the fact that there is this, again, an emergence of a fear in the last couple of days, in fact. And various TV channels have been interviewing on this. But I don't see a reason of fear with the way there's a degeneration in China. And we have, as you rightly pointed out in one of your presentations before, we have an average age of 28. Maybe if you can, talk about the youth strength and the strengths we have in India, which actually China doesn't.
No, China is aging. China now, the median age in China is 37 because of their one-child policy, whatever. But you can't counter with this one-child policy or 37. You can't come around and tell everybody, okay, from tomorrow you'll have 5 kids each. It doesn't work that way in human existence. The Chinese might believe they can do it, but you can't. What is the most important takeaway for me from the Chinese virus is the way our self-esteem, our self-confidence is growing up, the trust between the citizens and the government. I mean, people appreciate decisive leadership, openness. We don't hide anything in public involvement. Look, your health personnel, your police, your civil servants, what enormous respect for these people. I look after a few hospitals as part of the core group. I visit them from time to time. मैंने प्रोफेसर अमन एंजल्स फरिश्ते नहीं देखे थे, अब देखे हैं अस्पताल में सफेद कोट पहना हुआ है उन्होंने. I see the angels there. This is India. I mean, we do it because who is an Indian? सीना है फौलाद का जिसका, फूलों जैसा दिल है, तन में विंध्याचल का बल है, मन में ताजमहल है. We have the strength of steel, we have the softness of silk, and we are showing both to the world. Those who want to be helped by India, we are helping them. Doesn't matter which country. You may be my friend, you may be not, but we are looking beyond because the whole world is one family. All right? We've given hydroxychloroquine to the United States. America ka Rashtrapati kya kehta hai? We shall never forget. Oh, you believe him, don't believe him, it's a different matter. But just to make a statement like this and the Chinese supply medicines which they sell, their equipment turns out to be defective. Are yaar, is waqt to paisa mat banao. That is the difference. Okay?
True.
You can grow, Professor Aman, GDP. What does it stand for? Gross domestic product. I think it's a gross measurement of development. What really happens, let them grow in terms of their cars and their roads and their homes, etc. Beyond the point, you don't grow anymore. Like Europe, not an inch of territory is available in the capital. Sab to bana diya. एक आदमी कितनी गाड़ियां घर में रखेगा? 6, 10, 20, 30. But the real growth comes in your mind and hearts. And that's where India scores above anybody else. Yeah, aapke purane rishi muni keh gaye the, and today we are seeing that in action. Compassion. I don't want to boast for the people who are listening to this. My wife and I are both senior citizens. And मैंने तो एक personal कसम खाई है कि कोई भी Chinese product मैं नहीं खरीदूंगा. दूसरा, हमने मिलके ये कहा है, my गुरुजी का, मेरे स्वामी जी का एक आश्रम है, वहां पे एक स्कूल है. So my wife and I have taken an oath that for the rest of our natural lives, we will fund the education of one child in this underprivileged rural area for the rest of our natural lives. We will pick up a girl from what they call the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe families, and we will fund her education from class 1 to 12. और जो दूसरा हमने मिलके प्रण किया है that we will contribute enough to a particular fund to feed one family every day for the rest of our natural lives. It won't break the bank, it won't bankrupt us, but it gives us a lot of happiness. The power of sharing gives you much greater happiness than the power of keeping. Professor Aman, what you give away is yours forever. What you keep is lost forever.
True. I fully agree with you. And I would like to impound on, this particular thing which I heard from you, and I also had a feeling about it, that, various countries are doing different things to fight this Chinese coronavirus. But in India, we are doing two things which most countries are not. And in fact, Donald Trump has come out with the fact that he doesn't want to brief and talk to people. He has no time for it. I personally feel that the emotional connect which our Prime Minister is making time and again, and he made a great initiative by starting the Mann Ki Baat at All India Radio, because All India Radio reaches the poorest of the poor, the fathers of the fathers in this country. So, from that perspective, he has started this initiative of connecting the people, and he has kept this connect even all through the last 2-3 months.
जब उन्होंने एक्सटेंशन की बात की थी, कौन सा प्रधानमंत्री 6 बार in the course of communicating with the people हाथ जोड़ के कहता है, मैं आपसे निवेदन करता हूं, प्रार्थना करता हूं, ये करिए, वो करिए. ईगो कहां है उस आदमी की? बहुत पहले चली गई थी. He has his ear to the floor. He understands the requirements of the people of India. Look, you may disagree with him. You may say, I didn't vote for him. Happy birthday. You may be anti-Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Why should you be anti-India? Why should you write all this that India is suffering, India is doing this, India बर्बाद हो जाएगा? नहीं होगा यार, दुनिया को हमने ताकत दिखा दी है. सारी दुनिया हमसे पूछ रही है कि how are you doing this? And we are telling them that yes, we will. I have doctors in 3 countries at the moment teaching those people how to deal with the virus. This is the new India. अब हमारे हाथ ऐसे नहीं हैं, हमारे हाथ ऐसे हैं, देने के लिए हैं, मांगने के लिए नहीं.
Do you think the immunity factor, which actually has been discussed and debated, and I personally feel that 80% of Indians have that kind of immunity in the country, living in all kinds of war situations across the country, that this particular virus directly does not have so much of a risk, even if it is Chinese?
The most important factor is the youthfulness of our population. Young people have much greater immunity. मैं आपको बताया ना, जो लोग मरे हैं, अगर आप उसका एनालिसिस करो, they are old, white and rich, the overwhelming majority. आपने वो स्लाइड देखी थी of the countries where it is the morbidity rate per million is very high, and United States, Germany, Italy, France, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, all rich countries. वो नहीं हुआ उनसे because उनकी population बुढ़ी हो रही है. Japan is 47, the median age. मजाक में हम कई बार जापानीज फ्रेंड से कहते हैं, अरे तुम तो बच्चे पैदा करने भूल गए, हम सिखा देंगे, हमारे पास टेक्नोलॉजी है. We joke with them at times. But the point is that there is the youthfulness of India, and that this is a people-driven movement now. We have to fight it. We have to fight. बस हमारे सामने कोई टिक नहीं सकता यार. ये तिरंगा जो आपका है ना, जो यहाँ मेरे, I don't know if you're able to see it on my shirt, which I wear all the time. Professor Aman, जब समय आता है तो इस तिरंगे के पीछे पूरा हिंदुस्तान चलता है.
True. On a financial aspect, I would like to ask you a simple question that, I have been speaking about the fact that we have huge amount of foreign exchange reserves. Now, to the tune of almost about $500 billion, we say about 478, plus another,
including your SDR, etc., yeah.
Which have given to neighbors which are not counted. Raghuram Rajan did talk about it and include them. They're about $40-50 billion. The total about 520 billion.
Lots of billion के आसपास है.
So, when we have such big reserves, and I remember when I was being interviewed on UK about 3, 4, 5 years back on DD National, I looked at their economic parameters and I was surprised. At that time, they were about 2.4, 2.5 trillion, what we are about 3 trillion now as an economy. But the total reserves are only 100 billion.
Yeah.
Why are we so scared when US is negative in terms of reserves? We have $500 billion as reserve. Every one of us has gold reserves as the individuals. The
25,000
US,
ton hai private gold.
but every Indian has huge gold reserves. So why are we still scared of the economic parameters?
वो डरने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, because we are trained to look at development and at safety in terms of GDP. कितना पैसा है मेरे पास, उससे आगे बढ़ो. Get out and do what you have to. यार महात्मा ने कहा था, begin the change with yourself. बहुत दम था उस बंदे में. Let's do it. Let every Indian decide, I will listen to what the government is saying. By the way, one of the things I've learned, my personal takeaway, disinformation on WhatsApp University, disinformation is spreading faster than the virus. And the second thing I've learned, that every second person and his neighbor and his auntie and the driver and the uncle is now an expert on the Chinese virus. Please listen to what the government is saying. We have the best expertise. Did we know how to deal with it? Not at all. We are learning on the job. Have faith, have trust, have confidence. We are doing the best that we can. अब ये लॉकडाउन एक्सटेंड होगा, बता दिया आपके प्रधानमंत्री ने कि हम फैसला करेंगे 1 या 2 मई को, बता देंगे. करना होगा तो करेंगे, डिपेंडिंग ऑन द नंबर ऑफ पीपल हु आर अफेक्टेड बाय कोरोना, चाइनीज वायरस एटसेट्रा. पहले पीएम साहब बोले थे जहान जान है तो जहान है, अब कहते हैं जहां जान भी और जहान भी. लेट्स लिसन टू हिम. ही इज द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली मैंडेटेड लीडर ऑफ इंडिया. जो कह रहे हैं दिल से कह रहे हैं, मन की बात करते हैं लेकिन बोलते दिल से हैं. दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट.
Yes, before I open the question answer session, I had also one request further, and I'll go open with Professor R.T. Grover from School of Planning and Architecture. But before that, I have a small request. If I know you have done a lot of work on trust, and everything actually moves around trust. Yeah, and I feel personally that if you have that trust factor built in, things go very smooth. Could you highlight and maybe give some findings of what you've done?
Sure.
And help us.
Sure. Professor Ahmed, that's very kind of you to ask that. I have a PhD, but my PhD farji hai. It's honoris causa. I didn't work for that PhD. But now at this ripe young age, I'm working on a real PhD, and the subject is trust. I was inspired by my guru, Francis Fukuyama, his book, Trust. It's a very fat volume, but you don't have to read. Only 3 or 4 pages inspired me. I've studied the legal systems of 140 countries, developed and developing. Breach of trust is a crime. Criminal breach of trust तो भारत में भी है. तो ये भरोसा क्या चीज है, कहां से आता है? Why is it when a Japanese fellow tells me कि मैं सुबह 10 बजे पहुंच जाऊंगा, 10 out of 10 you trust him कि वो आ जाएगा. When a German says, or an American says, or a Swede says. लेकिन अफ्रीका को कोई बोलेगा तो आपका -0 उस पे भरोसा. अब भारत में शायद 5 पे पहुंच गया. Does trust come before development, or does development come before you build the trust? The jury is still out on that one. I've been working on this for 3 years. I don't know if I'll be able to complete my research. Possibly I'll kick the bucket and my kids or someone like you, a younger kid like you, will carry it forward. But yes, भरोसे के बिना कुछ नहीं होता. अरे बच्चा रोता है, माँ उठाती है, बच्चा चुप हो जाता है. बच्चे को naturally, the natural instinct is to trust. All of us are born with the instinct to trust. जैसे बड़े होते हैं, हम उस instinct को मार देते हैं.
True. Can I have now Professor R.T. Grover from School of Planning and Architecture to ask a question?
Will it be a voice question or a typed question?
Her photograph, her video is on, then her photograph will come, otherwise the picture will come.
Okay. Go ahead, ma'am. I'm delighted to answer your question. And if I can't answer it, Aman will.
I will try. Professor R.T. Grover, is she there? I think we'll move to the next one. Ms. Kavita S. Is there. I will just go to her and unmute her. Is Kavita S here? Anyone who wants to raise a question, please kindly raise their hands. I have about 5-6 names who had raised their hands. So I'll go to them. Yeah, she's here.
Go ahead. Unmute कर दिया?
Yes, please. I am doing that. Ms. Kavita S.
You'll have to repeat the question. I can barely hear her. Your bandwidth is limited. Everybody is watching Netflix.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
I see you, ma'am. Vanakkam. Can't hear the question.
No, she's not speaking as of now. Kavita S, please, can you please ask a question? You had raised your hand.
Okay, let it be. Let's move on to the next.
There are other people. We'll go to Pudagaran Barakale. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. Please forgive me. Please go ahead, Doctor.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I can hear you now.
Dr. Pandurang Barkale from SNDT University of Mumbai.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. My question is that, am I audible to you, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. As
Yeah.
though you were right in front of me.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. See, in Second World War, as America became a superpower because of the war atmosphere around. Now this will Corona put India in advantageous position? This is my first question, and something related to that. Our former president APJ Abdul Kalam had said that in 2020 India would be a superpower. So will this Corona catapult India to the position of superpower?
You know, the definition of superpower can vary. But if by superpower you mean a combination of the four trends we have seen, the demographic change, the economic change, the military strength, and the educational strength, then yes, we are already there. We are classified as a middle income country. The virus has shown me the capacity of people like you and me, Professor, for united, disciplined action. We have outgrown all our chota mota things, and we are now, this has become a people's movement. Jaise Swachh Bharat Bana tha. I mean, when we were building one toilet every 2 seconds, we are doing it now. We are fighting this battle and we will win. India has never lost a war except when we were divided. Now we are united. Koi nahi tikega sir. Ye Chinese virus kya cheez hai? Isko China वापस भेज देंगे हम लोग. There is no way. Everybody is now acknowledging it. I mean, when Trump says thank you India, we'll never forget your gesture. What does this mean, sir? We are being accepted. He may change his mind later, but we are being accepted as an equal. I mean, when the Swedes ask, 38 heads of government or state have spoken to your prime minister. Singapore was the most recent one, wanting to know, what do I do? We are giving them advice because people like you, sir, Professor, people like Professor Aman, you are the best in the world and we are proud of you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
I will go to Surya. Please.
Nothing is, yeah.
Surya.
Can't hear
Okay,
you.
Najma Shah. Just a second, Najma. I'll just unmute you, please. Just a second.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am. Can you see me on your screen?
Yes, sir. I'm able to see you.
Damn. The very good-looking old guy on the screen. That's me. Yeah, go ahead.
You're handsome also, sir.
Thank you very much.
And my question is, in a slide, you have mentioned two things, sir. Downside and upside. What are the things that will go up and what are the things that will go down? I hope that you won't mistake me for my question. You have mentioned that Islamic blind faith will go down. I just want to know what is that blind faith and why did you say that it will go down, sir?
I will tell you why, ma'am. I apologize. I can see from your first name that you belong to the Islamic faith. Going down in the common perception, ma'am. First, Ramadan Mubarak. People who understand the beauty of the religion will not. But across the world, you know what the Americans did some time ago, this Mr. Trump. First, he banned visitors from Islamic countries, etc., etc. Today, in many countries, in Malaysia also, I've heard on their channels, in their newspaper. Singapore, I've heard. Indonesia, I've heard that it was this Tablighi Jamaat business that has led to so much, a rapid spread of coronavirus. It is the perception, ma'am, not the reality. And ultimately, in international affairs, perception and reality become the same. I mean, we know we are not, India is the last to stigmatize an entire community for the mistakes of a few. Have you seen the latest news coming out of our neighbor who keeps fighting with us all the time? There's some very highly respected mullah said that we have the coronavirus because our women go around in scanty clothes. they dance. God is punishing us. What kind of nonsense is this fellow talking? And the Prime Minister of that country is sitting there on the same event. So it was a fundraising telethon. I mean, you are stigmatizing the way of Islam. I'm not doing it, ma'am. He's a mullah. He's going to issue a fatwa. You know, this is the kind of thing that the world sees and says, no, we don't want this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think I'd like to make it clear we do not want any kind of religious debates, but certainly it's an important issue which you raised. And in fact, when we had participants from Pakistan who registered for the conference, we had discussions amongst our assessors, should we send them the invite or not? And it was decided, since they were from the university and their IDs were confirmed and they were not hoax participants, we did decide that we would send them the invite, irrespective of which country they come from.
Country doesn't matter. People are the same.
Because knowledge is to share and learn. I'm going to go to Mr. Dhananjay Sai now and unmute him to kindly ask his question.
हाँ नमस्ते सर।
नमस्ते सर।
हाँ सर, एक चीज मुझे ये आपसे जाननी थी कि आपको लगता है कि
कहाँ से हैं आप?
मैं वाराणसी से हूँ, धनंजय सहाय, अग्रसेन गर्ल्स पीजी कॉलेज।
जी, प्रोफेसर है, टीचर हैं आप?
जी जी बिल्कुल, पॉलिटिकल साइंस में।
जी।
सर, ये जो कोरोना वायरस वाला चल रहा है, चाइना अमेरिका के बीच इतना तनातनी है, क्या आपको लगता है कि ये थर्ड वर्ल्ड वार की तरफ जा सकता है? और अगर ऐसा होता है तो भारत की इसमें क्या भूमिका आप देखते हैं?
अगर तो आप कह रहे हैं थर्ड वर्ल्ड वॉर इन टर्म्स ऑफ मिलिट्री कॉन्फ्रंटेशन, वो शायद इतनी जल्दी नहीं होगा, क्योंकि सबके पास ये परमाणु हथियार है तो सब खत्म हो जाएगा। लेकिन जंग शुरू हो चुका है
जी,
इन टर्म्स ऑफ ट्रेड बैरियर्स, इन टर्म्स ऑफ movement away from globalization, in terms of destruction of trust between countries. यूरोप तो आप भूल जाइए, you know, Europe is so trying to stay united कि वो सब कुछ भूल चुके हैं. But the Americans will not forgive, will not forget. We will not forgive, we will not forget. और दुनिया में कितने देश हैं अब चीनियों पे भरोसा नहीं करते?
बिल्कुल,
because वो लोग झूठ बोलते हैं. They figure so the war has already started. It's the war of minds and hearts, and countries like India are winning that.
सर, मैं आपकी बात से पूरी तरह सहमत हूँ कि हम लोग को चाइनीज सामान जो है उसका पूर्ण बहिष्कार करना चाहिए.
मैंने खुद पर्सनल डिसीजन लिया है कि मैं नहीं खरीदूंगा.
बिल्कुल जी, मैंने भी किया है और मैं ये भी चाहूंगा कि आप ये अपील और लोगों से भी करें कि वो लोग भी करें, क्योंकि ये सीधी चोट पड़ेगी चाइना पे.
अगर तो जापान और अमेरिका और भारत और यूरोप इकट्ठे होकर 70% टैरिफ लगा दें ऑन चाइनीज एक्सपोर्ट, तो वो ठंडे हो जाएंगे. They were so export oriented. You know, झूठ कैसे बोलते हैं? जब लोगों ने कहा आपका वुहान वायरस तो आपने फिगर्स ओवरनाइट बढ़ा दिए, तो कहते ओ सॉरी हमारे डॉक्टर्स भूल गए थे, वो थके हुए थे तो ये ऐड नहीं किए. ये क्या मजाक है ये कोई? And then they expect the world to believe that. You know, I'm sorry, but I don't have any faith. Their figures are totally bogus. Mine, I cannot keep it bogus. I'm an open, democratic, fair and free society. गाली जितनी मर्जी दीजिए. अरे मेरे पास 50,000 स्कूल्स, कॉलेजेस एंड यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं. मेरे पास 15 लाख स्कूल्स हैं. और ब्लैक बोर्ड नहीं है, व्हाइट बोर्ड नहीं है, ये नहीं है, वो सब ठीक है. बट लुक एट माय लिटरेसी, आई एम एट 88% इन 2020. इन अनदर 2 years आई शुड बी एट 100%. और पीएचडी नहीं होगी सबके पास, पढ़े लिखे तो हैं कम से कम.
So I agree. If I can add a point to that, when it comes to the commodities, in fact, I was recently another interview on All India Radio and others on the same issue. Please understand one small thing, that what has happened with China, whether intentionally or unintentionally, what they have done in terms of export of these medical goods, they have made a very bad impression on the world markets. And the world markets behave like stock markets. So if one misbehaves in a stock market, doesn't pay its dues, similar is the case with world markets. If one doesn't behave properly in terms of exports, and this is not with one country, they've done it with multiple countries together, they are going to see a backlash. We have already started seeing countries have come out and said, we want our companies out of China. Japan has a $2.5 trillion grant will be given to any company. That is a grant which has been kept for them, $2.5 trillion. Any company who moves out of China and sets up a base anywhere else, we may be one of those countries, is going to get a benefit. So there is going to be a backlash. And I think, it's difficult to talk about people wanting to ban or not ban, because I and you can maybe afford a product. But when you see a common man on the street, he sees a product for 10 rupees and he sees the same product for 100, 200, 300 rupees. It is really difficult to tell him not to go for that 10 rupee product, whether it is Chinese or not, because ultimately it is at purchasing power. And let us not forget, United States of America, I remember, they were the leading purchasing power country. And about 80 or 90% of their consumer goods are actually imported from China, India, and other countries. And that is why their purchasing power is so high. So, you know, what Trump was doing about 2 years, 3 years back, barring trade. Now, those kind of barriers is not. The market will automatically root them out. And I think it's a question of now rebuilding our MSMEs and getting them up. So I thought I'll just add up. I'll request Dr. Venkataraman to come up. He had raised his hand. Dr. Venkataraman, and please introduce yourself before you ask the questions.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Myself, Dr. Venkatramana, representing KL University, Andhra Pradesh, sir.
Which city, sir?
Guntur, sir. Guntur district.
One of the most beautiful places I have ever visited.
Thank you so much, sir. So happy to be a part of in this particular program. My question is, kind one side we are having number of opportunities after this particular COVID, but other side we are getting the government is getting a lot of losses, and at the same time the production is not being happened. The people are losing the jobs, etc. So the per capita income, the national income are also being affected due to this particular COVID. So how much time it takes to what I want to say is how much time it takes to be cope up the India, and also what kind of strategies national wide and as well as the state wide are being required to overcome this particular situation. This is my question, sir.
Yeah, it's a very intelligent question, sir. Prime Minister had said that it's first he had said life first, livelihoods then. Now he's saying both lives and livelihoods. Jaan bhi or jahan bhi. Government stimulus packages will come because we can't shut down the economy totally. I mean, the world Bank, the IMF, others are predicting recession in Europe and the United States and in China. But in India, they're still talking of growth during this year because the fundamentals are very strong. So the strategy of the government will be to inject liquidity into the system. You'll keep hearing these announcements from time to time. We are giving direct transfers into the bank accounts of poor people. One is a political argument. Now in politics, you know, people say something which they don't mean. I mean, my government took a decision and one of the opposition fellows wrote to us saying, well, thank you very much for implementing the suggestions we made. Well, if that makes you happy, happy birthday to you. It doesn't matter. This is not the time to claim credit for the suggestion. This is the time to implement what is to be done. So fiscal stimulus, everybody is trying that. That's the traditional wisdom. But more than that, I believe that the trust factor between government and the citizens of India, that will be the biggest benefit of this, and our discovery of our own reserves, of our self-confidence, our inner strength to deal with.
We have now Professor Aarti back, Aarti Grover from School of Planning and Architecture. I'm unmuting you, madam.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Professor.
Yeah, hi, sir. Can you see me? And I can see you. Thank you. Let me start by saying excellent presence. And I think I haven't heard anybody speak so well, and such an immense experience of life you have. I'm really delighted to be here as a part of this.
That's a polite way of saying ki buddhe ho gaye ho.
No, you are young, young and very inspiring. And I also congratulate Professor Aman actually, because he also keeps adding a lot of value to the talk in between the webinar when he adds his own small anecdotes. Thank you, Professor Aman. So I'll briefly introduce myself. I am Dr. Aarti Grover. I teach at School of Planning and Architecture. I'm a landscape architect by training.
In the nation? In Delhi? Sorry? In the nation?
In Delhi. My question is that in the last talk, which I'd heard you speak, you mentioned about trust to be an important, tool, which will probably help us maneuver through such a situation which we are right now in. Right. So my question is, and also you mentioned about some research which you are carrying out on trust being a basic factor and an important tool in such a situation. So my request would be, can you please elaborate a little bit on your research on trust? And also I want to know what kind of tools did you apply to inquire about such a complicated subject? It is not easy to figure out how people run.
Thank you for your question, Professor. I was inspired by this book by Professor Francis Fukuyama. We are roughly the same age. In fact, he's a couple of years younger. So teach at Harvard, teach at Princeton. Now I think he's in Berkeley. I was inspired by his book. I'm in touch with him via email. You know, I've tried to understand. मैंने during the course of my career France में posting की है, US में की है, Spain में कई developed countries में किया. वहां पे जब कोई आदमी आपको कुछ कहता है, you instinctively आदमी औरत, you tend to trust. The default reaction is भाई ये बोल रहा है तो ये करेगा. कुछ दूसरे देश हैं जहां पे the default reaction is a lack of trust. खासतौर जो former colonies रही हैं, where we were told, we were beaten down, we were told that you have to trust the colonial master more than yourself. For example, you'd be interested, there was a fellow called James Glancy. He was governor of, he was in the Indian Civil Service 1915 batch or 16 batch. He was governor of Punjab at the time of independence. And when they were about to leave, he called all his officers. He said, हम जा रहे हैं आपको छोड़ के, पर बेटा रोगे जब आपको याद आएगा हमारी गवर्नमेंट कैसी थी, कितनी अच्छी थी, और आंसू आप बहाओगे और हाथ जोड़ के हमसे कहोगे वापस आए. Look at the madness of these fellows, you know. So it was this confidence, this trust that they tried to break. The highest Indian civil servant was the Patwari. अब उसको गांव वाले उसके पास जाते हैं, बोलते हैं साहब यहाँ पे कुआं खोदना है. बोलेगा नहीं हो सकता. अरे साहब प्लीज हमको कुआं चाहिए, हम पैसे भी देंगे. अच्छा कलेक्टर से बोलो. फिर वो कलेक्टर साहब पाइप पीते हुए, अंग्रेज कलेक्टर अभी भी कहते हैं, लैंड रेवेन्यू तो है नहीं, वो फिर भी कलेक्टर कहते हैं, वो पाइप पीते हुए आता, हाँ तुम क्या मांगता, हाय बोला साहब हमको यहाँ पे कुआं, हाँ बना दो. ओ ब्रिटिश सरकार कितनी अच्छी है, देखो इन पे भरोसा कर सकते हैं. Now they had shattered our self-confidence, and with your broken self-confidence, ma'am, trust is very low. I've seen this across the 54 countries in Africa. I've served in 27 of them. नहीं है trust बिल्कुल. They don't trust the government at all. We ourselves tend to feel this. You know, let me give you a small example. किसी अखबार में लिखते हैं ना कि एम्बेसडर दीपक वोहरा बदमाश है, अब सब बोलोगे हाँ बिल्कुल सही लिख रहा है. अगर लिखेगा कि बहुत अच्छा आदमी, अरे पैसे खिलाए होंगे तो लिखता है. This ultimately suggests a lack of confidence in yourself, in your system, in your society. That is the broad conclusion that I've drawn from these 144 countries where I've looked at trust. I believe we are over the hump. I believe today in India, because we have a youthful, educated population. कोई मुझे कहता है कि मैं शाम को 6 बजे आऊंगा, वो आ जाता. लेकिन हमारी सभ्यता है, भाई मेरी कार कब ठीक कर देगा, सर कल परसों हो जाएगी. ओए हैप्पी बर्थडे, कल होगी या परसों होगी. You know, we have a very flexible attitude towards time. But I'm seeing that these values are changing, ma'am. Ultimately, it's the confidence that you have in yourself and that trust. When we were in the hunter-gatherer stage, 20,000 years ago, human beings, तो वो भाला लेके घूमते थे अपनी कंधे पे, और the first हम लोग कोई जानवर मिला उसको मार देते थे, या फल फूल जो मिलते थे खा लेते थे. कोई दूसरा इंसान मिला carrying the भाला तो लड़ते थे. The instinct of fight or flight. उसके बाद came the sedentary lifestyle, when we developed agriculture and farming, when we grew wheat for the first time in the Indian subcontinent, then barley in Mesopotamia. Then we started living together in communities, and you have to have the trust. I mean, क्या मालूम वो रात को आके भाला लेके मेरे स्पाउस को उठा के ले जाए. मजाक में मैं कहता हूँ बड़ी अच्छी बात है उठा के ले जाए. But you know, but then trust naturally had to come. Now this is what I'm trying to understand. Where did we lose that trust? And so far my research suggests in all former colonies, with a few exceptions like possibly Singapore and you know, one or two others, the trust quotient is very low. In the developed world, it's very high. अब पहले कौन सा आता है, इसका मेरे पास कोई जवाब नहीं है.
Thank you, Professor Aarti.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you, sir.
He is working on the President of India's landscaping on behalf of SPA and undertaking projects. So we are seeing a lot of development in President of India's estate. We hope she does that more for Delhi and other parts of the country as well. We'll move on to the next question. We had Dr. Prakash Wadekar, if he's still around. Just a second, let me just look at him. Mr. Prakash Wadekar is still here. Mr. Prakash Wadekar, please kindly ask. I'm sorry if I took your name, spell your name wrong.
Yes. Yes. Hello.
Yes,
sir.
This
is Dr. Prakash Wadekar from Karnataka, Bagalkot, sir.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm working as an associate professor in MBA college.
Where is it located? Which city?
Bagalkot, sir. Bagalkot.
Okay.
No. Yeah. Wonderful presentation, sir. Just I want to ask one question is, what is the post-COVID impact on Indian economy? Few people are saying it will be economy is going to be worst, and few are saying economy will rebounds. That is the first question. And second, my request is kindly share your this presentation video at the group what they have created by Indian Institute of Finance, so that this particular video we can show to our students.
I would be honored and delighted to share this, sir. Your question about what will happen to the economy, of course, we've taken a beating. I mean, whoever says no, we'll grow at 20% is talking nonsense. But some experts are saying India will grow at 1.9. Somebody says it will grow at 2%. IMF says it will be the worst thing in the world since the First World War or Second World War, last 80 years. You know, everybody is guessing. Nobody has faced a situation like this. I have seen blackouts. 1971 operations during the war, we used to shut off all our lights in the evening because we were afraid of aerial bombing. But I've never had a lockdown. I don't know what to do. So we really don't know what the impact will be. The only thing I can say, sir, that on all previous crises, India has shown amazing resilience. We have bounced back, and now that we are a young economy, we have the brightest people in the world like you. I mean, outstanding sons of India. India will come back. We'll surprise the world. Already they are asking us, 60 countries taking relief material from us, taking medicines from us. Whether it works or not is a different issue. Fact is, sir, that we are now perceived as an international player that can be trusted.
Yes, sir. Yes. Right.
Keep up the good work you're doing, Professor.
Yeah. Ms. Niharika Srivastava, kindly introduce yourself and ask a question.
हेलो नमस्ते सर। सर मेरा नाम निहारिका श्रीवास्तव है और मैं प्रताप बहादुर पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट कॉलेज प्रतापगढ़ में रजिस्टर्ड हूँ।
कहाँ पे?
प्रताप बहादुर पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट कॉलेज प्रतापगढ़।
जी, मुझे मालूम है।
आई लिव इन इलाहाबाद। तो सर मैं एक क्वेश्चन ये जानना चाहती हूँ, आपका जो लेक्चर ये रहा वो बहुत ही इंफॉर्मेटिव था और बहुत ही मोटिवेशनल था। एक चीज मैं जानना चाहती हूँ कि क्या अब हमें जो ये वर्ल्ड प्रॉब्लम आई है, सब ने इसको एक साथ झेली है और सब इसको एक साथ टैकल करने की कोशिश भी कर रहे हैं अपनी अपनी कंट्रीज में, तो क्या हमें एक ह्यूमैनिटी के टर्म में एक वर्ल्ड मॉडल नहीं बनाना चाहिए?
Excellent question, excellent suggestion. How to deal with the pandemics? Is that इस तरह की बीमारी कभी हो तो पूरी दुनिया को क्या करना चाहिए? अब इबोला जो पहली वायरस थी वो तो हमें पता है, SARS का हमें पता है, H1N1 का हमने सीख लिया, इसका भी सीख जाएंगे. And the Indian Institute, the Serum Institute of India जो पुणे में है, you know, we are in partnership with an American and a French and a British company. और वो लोग हमें क्या कहते हैं कि ये अगर वैक्सीन इसकी निकाल सकते हो तो आप ही निकाल पाओगे. The Serum Institute of India is the world's largest exporter of vaccines. Indian scientists, ma'am. It's our people. It's people like you. हमारे बेटे बेटियां हैं. The brain power is unlimited in India. We'll come back. हमने दिखा देंगे इनको फिर से मैम कि हमें कोई नीचे दबा नहीं सकता, क्योंकि अब अपनी किस्मत आप लिखेंगे, मैं लिखूंगा. भगवान मुझे माफ करे, अपने हाथों से हम भविष्य लिखेंगे, दूसरा कोई नहीं लिखेगा मैम. So we will bounce back and we will show the world. You know, China has given an example of its power to disrupt the world. An example of its power. We have shown the power of our example to heal the world.
Yes, sir, because
बहुत appreciate करते हैं.
जी, unity has the strength and power.
Of course. और वो सब देख रहे हैं आप. अरे 1 लाख 10 लाख नहीं करते हैं लॉकडाउन को फॉलो. थैंक यू. आपके प्रतापगढ़ में you are all following the lockdown. Am I correct, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
हर जगह we are doing it. All educated, literate people are following it. वो छोटे मोटे हैं कि कहते हैं नहीं करेंगे, we'll deal with them. But the fact remains, ma'am, that the response has been magnificent. मैंने एक बार अपनी जिंदगी में ऐसा response पहले देखा था 71 की लड़ाई में. पूरा देश तिरंगे के पीछे था जब बांग्लादेश को हमने बना. मैं तो भाग लिया उसके अंदर. When we created Bangladesh, mood of self-confidence in India at that time was sky high. Of course, then came all those troubles, economic troubles, etc. After that, the same mood I'm seeing today in India. सब कह रहे हैं, we will deal with it. हम होंगे कामयाब.
Thank you. We have 2 more questions, and actually 1 or 2 of them have actually gone out or in. There was Debarati Das who wanted to ask a question. Debarati, I'm going to come to you. Please ask a question. I'm unmuting you. Ms. Debarati Das. Are you there, Debarati?
Ms. Das? Kemanachin? I don't think she's there.
I think there is some snag in the internet. There are some few more. Let me just go to them and.
सारे लोग ये Netflix और Prime Video देख रहे हैं. Bandwidth आपके लिए कहाँ बची है?
Niharika is
Go ahead.
Surya, to ask a question. Miss Surya, you want to ask a question, please, now? If you're connected now, could you raise your hand again? Miss Surya, Miss Surya, are you there?
No, she's not. So do we have anybody else?
Yes. So another, we'll wait for a minute if there's someone else, otherwise, because there were 2-3 names.
Aman, we've been at it for an hour and a half already, 90 minutes.
Yeah, I'll just take a minute more and then we'll
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no issue.
With something in their minds, they should get satisfied and go. And you're the best person to satisfy.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that's, I thought, just give them a minute. I think there is no other hand coming up, and the people who had asked before, I don't see them anymore in the room.
How many people are still in the room, Aman?
We have still about 55 people there.
Okay.
So, and this video would be, like one of the professors asked, this video will be there online. Plus, we have requested Professor Vohra to be live with us at a couple of occasions. I'm going to pound on his time. I have certain excess privileges which I have with him, and I'm going to misuse those excess privileges.
You don't miss anything, son.
He will allow me to use those excess privileges. I have another question in the meantime, and let me unmute that. Vasanta Sanmungan. I'm sorry if I pronounce your names wrong. I'm really sorry about that.
Sir,
please go ahead.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Where are you from, ma'am?
I'm from Chennai, sir.
Hi.
Chennai.
Okay, vanakkam, saukyama?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, I'm a professor. We are dealing with young minds. So I would like to know how we should change our approach now to handle this situation.
To handle the coronavirus situation?
Not only, sir, the future, how they should mold themselves.
Just tell the youngsters what Gandhi said. You want to change the world, begin with yourself. Change yourself. A total positive mindset. Look at the way we are dealing with this unprecedented crisis. Gives you so much of confidence and trust. Tell them to trust themselves, to trust their system, to trust their country. Tell them to have the confidence in themselves and in their leadership. And tell them, many people will cry and shout and lament that, there is no way we can deal with this crisis. I'll give you the answer, ma'am. We will either find a way or we will make a way. That is India's strength. We'll do it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Deepak Vohra. It's been very kind that you spared the time. You've been with us.
If there are still some people in the room who speak Hindi, I just want to end with this lovely, lovely thing from Allama Iqbal, the great poet, who had said, Yunanu Misra Roma, Yunan being Greece, Misra being Egypt, Roma being Rome, Yunanu Misra Roma. He talked of ancient civilizations. Yunanu Misra Roma sab mit gaye jahan se, abhi tak magar hai baki namu nishan hamara. कुछ बात तो है कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं हमारी क्योंकि सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा.
Thank you. And we have a poll option. So I'm going to put up the poll. If you want to vote, you can just vote it out, and then we'll end the meeting.
All right. Can I leave or do I have to stay on?
We close the meeting. We still not tested this poll thing, so we'll close the meeting in any case.
Thank you very
much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.